So when television comes in, it extends the central nervous system on the tactile. It creates a weird environment, and if you turn, since the human organism wants to respond to it, wants to resonate with it, tune into the new effect of the TV landscape, it will take psychedelic or drugs, some kind of drugs, that will addle the brain to make it feel like it's not stuck in a literate, squared-off position or a kinetic industrial position. It's fluid and liquid. The drugs make your brain liquid, like the TV environment is. Then you get different kinds of drugs as you move through the 70s, 80s, 90s, depending on the media mix of tactile extended TV media, and different fads come in, like you could say Quaaludes in the early 70s, and then cocaine in the 80s, and then ecstasy in the 90s, LSD in the 60s, marijuana in the 50s. Slower levels of complexity of the tactile situation from the 50s to now, each decade getting faster, different kind of drugs. So in the 60s, the baby boomers, when they went to university or whatever, they left the suburban homes, they didn't have TV as much. So they needed a TV effect, so they took drugs. That's why drugs spread through colleges. People needed their TV effect, but they didn't have them in the dorms, not like they did at home. So your psychochemical point is parallel, a subset of what I was going to say, which I just said.
Cool.
That's right. Yeah, cool. So you could restate what you said. Once you understood what I said and could say it, you could enhance what you said a little more grammatically correct in terms of the factors involved. Sociological factors. Can you say what you said? Can we hear it again?
Say what I said before?
Yeah.
I can't say exactly what I said before. I forgot.
You were channeling it. Yeah.
I was but I know. I couldn't say the same exact thing.
It was something but the point was that you could take drugs once we realize we're incomplete.
Well, yeah. The point was that the underlying factor, the elephant in the room, if you will, is you're saying the four bodies, the actual five bodies. One's been undefined. If, some people don't, they don't understand concepts. There's all different concepts. Some people, they're really Catholic, or they have this religious, and they just believe maybe in Trinity, but they think this is just they're one person. They're supposed to be whole. They don't feel whole. Because of that fundamental incompleteness, they seek out, via big business pharma. They
regular drugs. They seek out television stimulation. They seek out stimulation to fill in the void.
Stimulation. Yeah. It doesn't have to be drug related.
Yeah, right.
Because, like you said, the interface between the TV and the drug, it creates a parallel channel.
Right.
You can get a different effect, not just from one source. It could be
right.
The result would be the same.
So that explains why people have been doing the 20th century the way they do it, right? Now, if they understood...
That's a piece of it, yeah.
Yeah, if they understood why they felt incomplete, the fact that if you extend any one sense or internal sense system, it's going to numb that, and you're going to try to fill that in with other things. So, when we extended the eye with the printing press, that numbed the society's eye because they did not know the effects of the printing press. They didn't love to read books. They didn't know what the collective effects of it would be. So the eye is engaged, but it's getting numb in terms of understanding the effects collectively of extended eye. So what they do, they compensated instinctively by creating great music. And that was the Beethoven-Mozart world of guys taking and writing out music using the new paper print world and using the eye to develop ear and specialized song fragmented from instruments. Then you have the great classical orchestras, quartets, and all that stuff developed because of literacy, print-based literacy. But the music was a massage on the ear that felt like it was diminished because the eye was the main organ of activity. So you see, the culture is a response to the pressures and numbness of the technological ground that people are using. So we had great music in the era of I, EYE. You see what I'm saying?
I do. What do you think is happening now? Because I think that you could argue that after the printing press and after, fast forward hundreds of years, computers, people have, their hard drive is mostly external, it's not internal anymore. So we don't have to remember information. There's not just one book in the schoolhouse. You don't have to memorize the Bible.
Right.
You don't have to, everything is at your fingertips. You're inundated with images and information all the time.
That's the present. So let's go.
What is that? How do you think that's affecting people?
Okay, to show you how it's affecting people, go back one stage. When we moved out of the literate print world into the industrial, early electrical age of telegraph, telephone, and television, radio and movies and cars.
Steam engines?
Well, the steam engine is a kinetic industrial. That's early.
Oh, okay.
That's pre-electric.
Okay.
But post-literate. See, Europe is basically a literate world. America is an industrial. We built on machines in the 19th century. That's the American growth. More machines than Europe. Okay? Then the electric age comes in and threatens all cultures because it goes around the planet. So what is electricity? The extension of the tactile sense, or the tactile interplay. We call it sense, but it's not a particular sense. It's the interplay. If that's the ground, that's what's numbing us. The compensation for that is all the other senses, or all senses, all five. What? Eye, ear, nose,
smell, touch, taste.
And touch is not. There's the pressure touch, the contact part of touch, the letting go and then retouching, then you create rhythm. That's the tactile, space in between. Most people think touch is the contact part, but you need to let go to have a functioning touch. Then you retouch. The interplay, touching and not touching and then retouching, is what we mean by tactility. The touch part is the kinetic or proprioceptive. The contact part is the proprioceptive or kinetic. So the industrial age is kinetic. The electric age is tactile. All the senses are then what we say, the content of this tactile numbers. So what you have in the 20th century, you had more eye than ever happened before, more books. You had more kinetics, that's movies. You had more music, jazz and rock. You had more, every one of the senses had a huge, what I call, baroque spiral of expression. So all the senses were simulated and developed in the 20th century. Now that's under big media environments, what I call the TV landscape, the analog, the one way. Then the digital comes in, the chip landscape, and shrinks these massive environments. So a kid today has all the music ever recorded, all the video ever recorded, all the TV, everything, all the magazines, all the books, all there. But what do they like doing? They fuck the legacy, I'll create my own shit. So you become manic editors. And while you're doing it, you're interacting with someone. You're texting. I mean, they multitask. They text, they listen, they got their earphones in, they're editing, they're doing all this, they're tactility incarnate. They actually are tactility. Since the TV electric era is tactile, we're moving beyond the tactile. So the media becomes more visibly tactile and interactive. Think of the interactivity of texting. That's like the interactivity of the brain. It's talking to all the data coming in from different senses and coordinating it. That's a lot of dialogue.
So like kind of back to synesthesia, or maybe like
yes,
the fifth body.
synesthesia.
The fifth body could be the sixth sense, maybe.
It's not less. The fifth body is a misnomer. It's out there. It's a meme. I can't change it. It's the fifth body is a landscape. It's the mystery thing. It's not a body yet. It could be a body, but we don't know what it is. So forget the fifth. Just talk the fourth. What did you just say? Now, okay, I have an aspect about EST. Television, radio, you travel, and you're here, there, you're doing. On the telephone, you can do things that normal faculties can't do. You can call Japan and influence Japan. And it can influence you. You're living in a world of ESP. You've left the body.